From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
The Arizona Board of Education voted to repeal Common Core. We break down what this means for our school and students.
And Hispanic caucus leaders are working to promote legislation that would improve education and employment opportunities for the Latino community.
Plus, traffic is always a problem for commuters, but when it comes to Cardinals game day, the city of Glendale has a plan to keep traffic flowing.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Mitch Casada.
And I'm Lauren Michaels. Thanks for joining us.
The State Board of Education voted today to repeal Common Core.
State Superintendent of Public Instruction Diane Douglas called for the vote, and it was passed in a 6-2 margin. Education reporter Jake Gaden was there for the meeting. Jake?
It was a meeting full of surprises. No one expected Douglas to attend the meeting, much less get the Board of Education, who she's been at odds with, to side with her against Common Core.
They are not Arizona standards.
Common Core has been a main issue for education in Arizona ever since it was adopted in 2010.
And now what the board is just saying is that they support us moving forward with higher, more rigorous standards for Arizona children that are more inclusive.
President of Arizona State Board of Education Greg Miller, who voted against killing the Common Core standards, believes that Arizona education is in a good place and does not need reform.
It has nothing to do with kids, has nothing to do with getting anything accomplished in the classroom. And any report that says we've abandoned our standards, we've abandoned our rigor, we've abandoned the accountability is wrong, absolutely wrong.
Now that the Common Core vote was reversed, the next step in the process will be the committee to set a standards for Arizona education stemming from public input to the board.
It's a great day for Arizona parents and Arizona kids that they can have the assurance that we in Arizona will take care of the best educational needs for their children.
The State Board of Education is still seeking public input concerning the state standards on math, English, and language arts. The deadline has been extended through Friday, November 13th. You can go to the website k12standards.az.gov to share your feedback. Jake Gaden, Cronkite News.
A deal could soon be reached in the school funding fight. The issue? How much money the state owes public schools in inflation dollars.
GOP legislators are being briefed this week on a possible settlement to the lawsuit. Cronkite News legal reporter Aaron Johnson found details on the possible resolution are hard to come by.
After years of legal battles, the lawsuit on Arizona school funding might just be coming to an end. K-12 public school districts alleged the state did not fully fund a voter-approved inflation formula. So the schools took matters into their own hands. Attorney Don Peters is fighting for the schools that sued and had no comment about the lawsuit for Cronkite News. A gag order from the court is preventing either side from talking to the media about negotiations. But State Superintendent of Public Instruction Diane Douglas told Cronkite News today she doesn't have details yet.
I look forward to seeing it, and hopefully they've come to an agreement that will work for everybody.
Members of the Senate and the House of Representatives are expected to be briefed on the deal, which could lead to its approval. The office of Governor Doug Ducey, however, released this statement. Following talks our office initiated with leaders in the legislature and the education community several weeks ago, a solution to the education funding lawsuit was negotiated late last week. The statement goes on to say that Governor Ducey's goal is to get this money to kids and teachers as soon as possible. Several plans have been presented to the House and Senate, so another legislative session is likely to occur later this week. Outside the state capitol, Aaron Johnson, Cronkite News.
Governor Doug Ducey has changed the application process for judicial vacancies in Arizona. Someone who is interested in applying must now submit writing samples directly to Ducey's office, undergo an additional background check, and meet with several staffers before an in-person interview with the governor. This new selection process is currently being used to fill vacancies in the lower court, but will be used in the Supreme Court nomination process for the first time.
A new poll from the Associated Press finds that Republican frontrunner Donald Trump is widely unpopular among Hispanics. Only 11% of Latinos polled viewed him favorably. The poll found that many of the Republican presidential candidates would probably struggle to win significant Hispanic support in a general election. Of all the GOP candidates, Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio are among the favorites of Hispanics.
A new report from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus shows that Latinos are making strides in employment and education, but have not been able to close the wage and employment gap with other groups in the country. Cronkite News reporter Adriana Barajas has the details from our Washington bureau.
The success of our country will in fact depend upon the success of that community.
That community is the Latino community, which continues to lag behind in many areas, including employment, income and wealth accumulation, and educational attainment, according to a report by the Congressional Hispanic Caucus.
So now we have these numbers that are in the report that show us very clearly where there are areas where we need to improve.
That's why Congresswoman Linda Sanchez and members of the caucus met at the Capitol to call on other leaders to promote legislation that will improve the economic well-being of the Latino community.
Well, the answer is simple. We need to support legislation that helps hardworking families. We need to support legislators that support policies that help working families.
According to the report, the typical Hispanic worker earns 72% of what a typical non-Hispanic white earns. Congressman Ruben Gallego agreed, saying the biggest issue facing Latinos right now is economic opportunity.
Being able to move up the economic ladder, being able to start at a job and continue to improve, earn more money, get a bigger house. I mean, all the things I think we believe the American dream is.
And that's exactly what Latinos lack, as Hispanics are twice as likely to live in poverty compared to non-Hispanic white households. But Gallego says making education more attainable for Latinos can improve their well-being.
We need to really refocus, making sure that we have good K through 12 education, and we also have affordable college education for young men, whether they're Latinos or anybody.
In Washington, D.C., Adriana Barajas, Cronkite News.
A memorial to honor the 19 Granite Mountain hotshots who lost their lives fighting the Yarnell Hill fire is one step closer to completion. The design plan has been approved. A white marble cross will be placed on the spot where each firefighter fell, with 19 low walls circling each cross. There will be interpretive materials and a path to the memorial with individual markers for the hotshots. The project will cost $2 million, but much of that funding will come from donations.
It's been more than 48 hours since the City of Tempe's distracted drivers ordinance went into effect. Cronkite News reporter Ivan Rodriguez found out police will be handing out warnings for the first 90 days.
We want people to drive safely. The best way to drive safely is not even use your phone, not even use your electronic device. Right now, the way the ordinance is written, if you're at a stoplight and you start looking at your phone, there's no reason we can pull you over or cite you for that.
But the way that you can get pulled over is if you are weaving in and out of lanes or driving at a high speed. Councilman Granville says that the law doesn't ban texting and driving in Tempe, and he hopes this law will be a stepping stone to pass statewide legislation.
If somebody hears the phrase, oh, it's illegal to text and drive in Tempe, that's not exactly what the law says. But if it starts to limit law-abiding citizens' choices in a way that creates safety, then I think that's great.
Granville hopes that between the next year to 18 months, the effects that he anticipates seeing will begin to show themselves in accident reports. From Tempe, Arizona, Ivan Rodriguez, Cronkite News.
Our Cronkite Public Insight Bureau is looking for your input on the distracted driving ordinance and your thoughts on texting and driving in general. You can fill out this questionnaire online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
The Arizona Cardinals take on the Baltimore Ravens tonight for Monday Night Football, which means heavy traffic for fans and commuters in the West Valley. Reporter Katrina Secchi is in Glendale with more.
Here at University of Phoenix Stadium, the Cardinals will kick off at 5:30, and fans are already arriving. Since they've been here in Glendale, they've sold out every game, including pre- and post-season. So that means a lot of people coming in and out of this area in a short period of time. So I went to find out how the city of Glendale creates a game plan to get everyone in and out as quickly as possible.
University of Phoenix Stadium holds over 63,000 fans. There are roughly 25,000 parking spaces around the stadium. With only a few ways into the city, this influx of people and cars can be challenging to direct. But fans don't see it as a problem.
The streets getting in here can be a little bit clogged, but it's not too terrible.
Tailgate here, so we get here early, so parking isn't a problem.
And the reason there isn't a problem? The City of Glendale's Traffic Management Center is located about 10 minutes away and is the nerve center on game days.
We develop traffic control plans for barricading and signage for each location to get people into their appropriate parking areas. Once we develop all of that, then we'll present it to management as well as stakeholders.
12 hours prior to kickoff, the barricade company sets up all closures and signs to execute traffic plans. The management center staff arrive at the center 5 hours prior to kickoff. Shortly after, the parking lots open up. The center can control all traffic signals remotely to help mitigate any congestion. They can also initiate additional closures as needed. Even though the plans work, the city is always looking for ways to improve.
The way to exit maybe is the only thing, it's a little bit difficult, but that's why we stay back here. It's not too bad for us.
Typically, after the game is over, we have all those fans out of the area within about an hour. A good day is no complaints. No news is good news. If we don't hear anything about the traffic, then we've done a great job.
For fans attending the game or anyone commuting around this area, you can call 511 to find out all game day closures. In Glendale, I'm Katrina Secchi, Cronkite News.
Arizona law officers and political leaders have been fighting for years to end sex trafficking in our state.
Now there's a new voice in the battle to save lives. Coming up on Cronkite News, how one Valley teen's small gesture is hoping to make a big impact.
At ASU, we believe the most important semester is the one that starts after you get your diploma, the one called life. So we work hard to help our alumni thrive, teaching them the importance of not only achieving their goals, but exceeding them. With innovative programs that embrace hands-on learning, that encourages real-world growth. Our alumni know it can be the education of a lifetime, for a lifetime. For more information, asu.edu.
I'm an urban gardener. I'm a PhD student in criminology law and society.
I have an expertise in construction history.
I also happen to be a swing dancer. Oh, and I'm a source.
And I really like being a source.
Great journalism requires great sources, and we want you to be one of them. Arizona PBS is building a network of viewers, people with insight into the stories we cover and the stories we should cover. Explore what it means to be a source for the Arizona PBS Public Insight Network at azpbs.org/pin. Are you a news junkie, history buff, science or nature lover? Then discover 8 World, an entire channel devoted to bringing the world home to Arizona. Watch 8 World on Cox 88 or over the air via antenna on 8.3. To find out how to tune into 8 World for your satellite or another cable provider, visit azpbs.org/world or call 602-496-2308. Discover your world. 8 World.
See this patio? There used to be a motorcycle sitting there, a bike I didn't use and didn't want, so I donated it to public television, and they took care of everything. In addition to supporting my favorite programs, I earned a tax deduction. Turn something you don't need into something you really want. Contact the Vehicle Donation Program.
8 is Arizona PBS, a service of Arizona State University.
A Valley teenager is working to make a difference in the lives of some of the most Arizona's vulnerable young women. Cronkite News reporter Genesis Monserrati joins us in the media center with a closer look at the effort to help victims of sex trafficking.
17-year-old Emily Hartzler came up with the idea of helping those who are victims of sex trafficking, and now law enforcement is adopting her new idea.
Emily Hartzler has a busy schedule between volleyball practice, school, and Girl Scouts. For her Girl Scout project, Emily wanted to help girls her age who are not free to live their lives.
I want the victims to know that they're loved, and I want to give them the courage to break ties with their trafficker.
She hopes a small gesture will help convince victims of sex trafficking to come forward and get help.
I created Quillo care kits. The kits include hygiene products, snacks, and hotline numbers, all tucked inside a blanket.
And these care packages will be distributed by the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association and DPS to girls and women at risk of currently being trafficked on the streets.
Hello, New Journey.
Carolyn Jean Jones works with a rehabilitation center that aims to keep people off the streets, away from drugs and violence. She shares her own painful experience as a sex trafficking survivor to help others.
I'm hanging out with these older boys. I'm feeling smart. They telling me all this pretty stuff that's making me feel good, but it's just a manipulation, just to take advantage of them.
She wishes she had gotten a Quillo care package when she was a teenager on the streets.
Congratulations. You get the eagle and the gold ring.
Law enforcement officers recently recognized this new effort to reach out to those who are vulnerable.
Through this program, the Quillo program, it hopefully, not that we want them to see themselves as a victim, but we want them to know that there's people out there that care about them. There's troopers out there that care about them. Law enforcement cares about them, and that we want to help them.
Emily developed the idea with Streetlight USA, an Arizona-based organization that helps combat sex trafficking. And the group estimates that 300,000 youngsters are sex trafficked each year. Live in the Media Center, Genesis Monserrati, Cronkite News.
A lab testing company with 40 locations here in the Valley has put its microblood draw testing on hold while the FDA evaluates the technique. Last week, we brought you a story about Theranos, which was offering these blood tests to detect HIV. The microblood draw test uses a finger prick instead of drawing blood from a vein. Conventional testing techniques will still be administered at local Theranos locations. You've probably heard the recommendation to limit processed meat in your diet.
But now a new health warning is raising more red flags over red meat.
Coming up next on Cronkite News, why global health leaders now say too much meat causes cancer.
The easiest and best way to support 8 Arizona PBS is by becoming a sustaining member. Your monthly contribution of $5 or more comes directly from your bank account or credit card, so you know your membership is always current. It also means no more renewal notices in your mailbox. So more of your dollars go to the programs you love. It's convenient for you, greener for us, and better for the planet. Become a sustaining member today.
Tap into the art scene from coast to coast. Join the Art Beat Nation, a weekly series where you'll experience a rich cultural tapestry of art stories from across America. Meet artists, writers, composers, and performers setting the pulse of the arts in America now. Join us for a brand new episode of Art Beat Nation. Sunday at 5 on 8HD. When you want to be more connected, friend us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us online. Become a news source for the Arizona PBS Public Insight Network. Your ideas and insights can help us create relevant and distinctive reporting. Join now at azpbs.org/pin.
Throughout its history, Arizona PBS and volunteers have enjoyed a rich and rewarding partnership. Whether answering phones during our pledge campaigns, stuffing envelopes, or assisting with special events, volunteering at 8 is fun and provides excellent work experience, team building for a group, and a sense of community involvement and importance. If you would like to volunteer at 8, or if you have dropped off our mailing list, we encourage you to call the number on your screen or go online at azpbs.org/volunteer. Thank you.
The World Health Organization released a new study suggesting processed and red meats could be causing cancer. The study classifies processed meat as carcinogenic to humans, causing colon cancer. It also showed that red meat may also be carcinogenic to humans, according to the study. These findings support the public health recommendation for people to limit the amount of meat in their diets. That's according to the group's director. Meat industry groups claim the report is biased and misleading. For full details and more reaction from Arizona meat industry leaders, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Parts of western Mexico are cleaning up after Hurricane Patricia. The strongest hurricane on record tore through the country over the weekend, but the damage wasn't nearly as bad as anticipated. Mexico braced for the worst on Friday as the storm made landfall. The Category 5 hurricane had wind speeds reaching up to 165 miles per hour. There were still large amounts of flooding and damage to communities.
The remnants of the hurricane have moved from Mexico to Texas, where some areas got up to 20 inches of rain over the weekend with gusts of wind up to 50 miles an hour. First responders had almost 30 rescues on Sunday alone, but no fatalities have been reported. The National Weather Service says a hot and dry summer allowed the ground to soak up more water this time as compared to a round of deadly flooding last May.
5 people are dead and 1 person is still missing after a whale-watching vessel sunk off the west coast of Vancouver Island in Canada. The boat, owned by Jamie's Whaling Station and Adventure Centers, capsized near the town of Tofino on Sunday. Of the 27 people on board, 21 were rescued. Officials haven't figured out what caused the boat to sink, but the Transportation Safety Board of Canada will continue to investigate.
At least 180 people have died and 589 people were injured in Afghanistan and Pakistan after a 7.5 magnitude earthquake hit the area on Monday. 12 schoolgirls were among some of the victims who were killed in a stampede as they tried to exit their school. The epicenter of the earthquake was 28 miles long and 132.7 miles deep. The quake was so large that it was felt in New Delhi, India.
November is an important month for Hispanic culture.
Coming up on Cronkite News, we'll take you inside the celebration of a Mexican holiday that's growing every year, especially here in Arizona.
Fridays, it's at Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Then join us for at Cronkite News, our weekly refresh, each Friday at 5 on Arizona PBS.
The easiest and best way to support 8 Arizona PBS is by becoming a sustaining member. Your monthly contribution of $5 or more comes directly from your bank account or credit card, so you know your membership is always current. It also means no more renewal notices in your mailbox. So more of your dollars go to the programs you love. It's convenient for you, greener for us, and better for the planet. Become a sustaining member today.
Hi, I'm Judy Woodruff, co-anchor of the PBS NewsHour. Preparing the next generation of journalists has never been more important than it is now. With its groundbreaking partnership with Arizona PBS, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at ASU is revolutionizing journalism education to provide students with a real opportunity to work and learn under the supervision of veteran journalists, producers, directors, and editors on newscasts, investigative stories, and documentary productions. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, reinventing journalism education in the digital age.
Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is commonly associated with Mexico, but it has roots throughout Latin America, and now its popularity is growing in Arizona. Cronkite News Borderlands reporter Jennifer Souls brings us inside the celebrations.
Dia de los Muertos is celebrated in early November. It's a holiday set aside to remember relatives and friends who have passed away. Dia de los Muertos is both about celebrating life and honoring the dead. The festivities are more and more popular every year here in Arizona.
I believe the Spanish, the Mexican influence has really pretty much taken off.
A huge community altar in Mesa, like smaller ones in Mexico, includes pictures, mementos, and traditional flowers. The petals form a path meant to guide spirits back to their families. This is the 9th year Mesa has hosted the event. It features altars like this one, which took over 30 volunteers and 10 hours to set up. It features tissue paper and marigolds, both traditional staples of the holiday. Artist Keelan Maney led the altar project and says the vibrance of the holiday is a large part of its appeal.
I think that the imagery is very popular among artists and art galleries.
Caracas y calaveras, or skeletons and skulls, are a big part of Dia de los Muertos. They're often dressed in festive clothes and entertaining situations, and they're not meant to be scary.
When people start to question, well, what does this actually mean? And so they realize that there is a deeper meaning to it, and it's not just some kind of like Halloween event. So I hope that people walk away with a deeper understanding of Dia de los Muertos. Also an understanding and respect for those who've passed on. And this is a place for them to put pictures of their loved ones so we can celebrate their lives.
Take a picture with the popular calaveras, make paper flowers, and dance the night away, all to honor loved ones who are no longer with us.
There are plenty of festivities across Arizona, and though it's called Day of the Dead, the holiday covers 2 days. November 1st is set aside to remember children, and November 2nd is for adults. In the Broadcast Center, Jennifer Souls, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's next on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
Next, after Cronkite News, it's Arizona Horizon. We'll hear from a consumer advocate about data breaches and cybersecurity. And the co-founder and former editor-in-chief of Bloomberg News will speak to journalism students at ASU.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next NewsHour, our Culture at Risk series looks at the restoration of paintings and sculptures at a world-famous institute in Florence, Italy. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.